Hello everybody and welcome back inside the box for another episode of Gunpla Kitbash with me, Kukamatsu. In this episode we'll be reshaping the shoulder armor. So let's jump right in. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to work on the shoulder armor to begin with, and I think the first thing to do is actually going to be to trim it right across that line there, and I'm also going to cut off this top piece here. I'm going to use my trusty razor saw for this, nice thin saw, something you can buy at your local hobby shop or online. And so the other thing I want to do is I want that line of this protruding part to be straight across, parallel to the one above it. And I want to fill in this side so this will come down and across. And then I'm going to get rid of all this inset detail. The first thing I'm going to do is just try and cut that straight across there. Well, I created a little bit of a hole there, but it's not too bad. And the other tricky thing is I want to adjust the shape of this hole a little bit. Essentially, I want to continue that hole along the top. On this one parallel, you can stop it about there. Bought these fine blades made by Madworks. It's like a photo etched blade, so it's very thin. I haven't really tried it so far, but this is the kind of situation I bought it for, where there's particularly when there's an internal cut that needs to be made. So let me give this a try. Well, it did the job in a rough sort of way. Just finish it off with the knife, which is what I was planning on doing anyway. I didn't expect it to cut nicely right to the very edge. Okay, I think we're getting to the basic shape there. Actually, I think what I'll do next is I'll just sand that down a little bit, or I'll file it down probably. Get rid of that little ridge, and then fill in that hole. Got my nice big file here. Great for making long, flat shapes. Removing material quickly. Okay, I found some thin styrene that I'm going to use as a backer for behind that hole. And if you've watched my other series, you know I'm a big fan of this Black Widow by AK black super glue. And I am also going to use this super glue kicker just to make it set a little bit faster. So while that sets, I'm going to start working on this other corner here. Basically want to fill up that. Basically want it to follow parallel with that edge there, similar to the beginning part. So it's going to go somewhere like that. So I'm actually not going to cut that end piece off to begin with. I'm going to glue it in first, and then I'll chop it off and fill it in. Not a lot to glue to here, but we'll just see how it goes. Looking good. So then I'll just chop this piece off here. That big file is great because it just gets so far so fast. So I'll add a little bit of super glue in the gaps there and there. Okay, as the first pass, that's looking pretty good. I just need to fill in a couple of little spots around, get it right to the surface. At this point, I'm going to switch to a 120 grit sanding block just to be a little bit gentler to get that down, last little bit down to the surface. Now we're down to 240 and do that again. Get rid of the scratches from the 120. Then I'll move down to the 400 and go over everything again. And then onto the 600. And finally the 800. And at this point it is feeling pretty good. I do want to clean up this hole a little bit. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere there. You can see what I'm trying to do now. I think, you know, in terms of simplifying some of these lines, getting rid of some of these little extra notches and stuff like that. A little bit more sleek. And then on the back, I'm thinking that I might just fill all of that in. I also need to trim this top notch, and I need to trim this bottom piece to match the front. I think what I'll do is I'll try and fill that gap completely with styrene. You can see how rough you can be with filling this stuff up. As you know, you have to file it anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect on the first go. There we go, looking pretty good. Feeling pretty good. Trick will be to make this pointy. It's going to be a bit of a job. The thing that I need to think about here before I do this is how to make that work without wrecking the mechanism, which pivots right there. Of course, still want it to be able to do that. What I'm kind of hoping is that I can just trim this piece a little bit. I just want to make it a little bit pointier. I just find it too boxy as it is. I think the easiest thing is just going to be to split it down here. Maybe the thing to do is to take a slice right there and then fit this one back to that. Trying to keep the same width at the end as it was before so that that joint will work. What I'm probably going to have to do is make this back hole a little bigger, just give myself a little wiggle room. I have this 4mm reamer. So what I'm going to do is, because I want it to go like that, I need to turn it up like that a little bit. And probably do this with a regular drill bit as well. There we go, much better. There we go. Got a nice little pointiness out of it. I kind of like that it's an offset point as well. It makes it interesting. Okay, I went ahead and did the other side as well. So the next thing I want to do is fill in this top section and this bottom area with styrene. I've recently realized that this is a good way to plug little holes. Instead of trying to cut a little piece that fits into the hole and you're trying to get it in there with tweezers and get it perfectly with the glue and everything, just take a piece that's a little bit bigger, shove it in the end, and then trim it off once the super glue has set. Much easier way to do it. All right, now I have the basic shape filled out. It's time to fill in some of these gaps. People have asked me why I use super glue as a gap filler instead of the other options, like putty or whatever. The simple answer is it's fast. It's easy to sand, which is great. Easy to see because it's black. But the main reason really is this, that I can put it on and I can keep working. It's a nice, you get in the flow and you can just keep working and working away. You don't need to stop and wait for, hours a lot of times to let the putty dry. It's the worst when you fill something with putty and then you wait till the next day, you're ready to work on it, and it shrank a little bit and it's not perfect and you need to put more and you need to do it again. I used to actually avoid doing this kind of work because of that. So once I discovered using the super glue, boy, it changed everything for me in terms of just the enjoyment factor of doing this kind of reshaping stuff. Cool, so I've done that to them both now. Something I would do differently if I was to do this again is use a thicker piece on the top so that I have something more to file down instead of having to fill it in so much with the super glue. It works both ways, but I think it's just less work if I had made it a little bit thicker and then just had a bit more meat on there to file down. So the next step is to airbrush some gray paint on there, and that will show me any imperfections in the surface that I can't see right now, and then I can do repairs. There are a few small little areas to fix. Well, there we go. I'm pretty excited about how that's looking, and it's going to look even better once I get some reshaping done in this chest area and some mechanical kit bashing stuff. Overall, pretty happy with that. And that is the end of the episode. In the next episode, we'll be doing some mechanical kit bashing around the torso abdomen area. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like down below. Check out the playlist for previous videos. Subscribe if you want to follow along. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.